Hello, everybody, and welcome to WP Roundtable. My name is Jason Crawford. I'm an independent web developer in Medellin, Colombia, and tonight we are discussing integrating social media. Kyle.
Hi everybody, I'm Kyle Maurer, lead developer for Real Day Marketing, based in Jackson, Michigan. I'm working with WordPress, I'm making plugins, I'm talking on WordPress Roundtable, I'm hanging out with my WordPress buddies.
All right, I am Kellen Mace, freelance web developer from Rochester Hills area, Michigan. Happy to be on tonight.
Hey guys, I'm Brian Rutter, developer in Dayton, Ohio. Yeah.
All right, guys. So today we're talking about integrating social media with WordPress. What do you guys think about this topic?
Social media is out.
Social media is out. That's
Yeah,
a great
it's out.
So,
Yeah, what's in, Brian? What's in?
What's that?
What's in? Give us the scoop.
Oh, nothing's in. Everything's out.
nothing's in.
No, I'm kidding.
Social media, so 5 minutes ago. Brian's over it.
Wait, let me tweet that out.
Brian's over it. He was over it the moment it started.
What? Maybe people are still using MySpace?
Isn't that the thing?
I heard there's a new one. It's like My Face or something.
Oh, boy.
It's like My Face has a book, or I don't know.
Right, so what about social media?
So I don't know where you guys want to start off with, but how about we just go through and what are the two basic things we're trying to usually share in social media in our website? And I see that as being our pages and our posts, or that, or you know, you'll have a Facebook page or a Google Plus page for your website. Obviously, we have a Google Plus page here, so we would want to be able to share both of those pieces of information. A post, you know, share that post out, but also be able to connect our social media pages to our website. Any other thoughts on that before we move on? I mean, it seems like that's the basic gist of what we need to cover here tonight.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have this integration between your site and your social accounts, especially for businesses or organizations with large followings. People want to interact with organizations on social channels, and got to bring that into your website too. And these days it's actually really easy. So the good news is it's a complicated concept. An integration between these two services, but in practice, it's actually quite easy. So I think that's what we're going to talk a little bit about, of how simple it is to get kind of these integrations going. What do you guys think about that?
I think run with it. You brought up a couple good points though about having definitely a business account. So whenever you can, I think Google is really important on the business front, but Google's taking a lot of steps in this as far as also for just the standard blogger wanting to get authorship. So tying into your accounts there is something I didn't even think about when we were preparing show notes, but it's definitely something that can be covered real quick, throughout the course of this one. But let's kick it off somewhere. Showing social content on your site. I'm not actually familiar with this social freedom thing.
I made a note to just mention this. Social feed me, it's premature really to talk about it now, but let's do it anyways. We're talking about the next thing. Social feed me is a cool social media plugin that Joel Worsham, who is the other developer who works for Real Day Marketing, developed recently, and he will be releasing it on the .org repository very soon. And it's pretty cool. It does a great job of displaying content from social channels like Twitter and Facebook on your site with a lot of customizability. So I've checked it out, and I really love what he's doing, because I've played with a lot of plugins out there for showing content on your site, from a social channel, but I haven't found too many that I actually like. And one of the biggest problems, you guys can share what your thoughts are on this, but one of the biggest challenges I've had is integrating with your theme. There's so many that I can bring in content with, but a lot of them bring their own styles, and a lot of them just don't naturally look good with my design and still show, the latest tweet or the latest Facebook post. What do you guys think?
Well, most of the ones I've seen deal specifically with Twitter, so and you guys know my thoughts on Twitter and how much it frustrates me, so I've never actually brought social media content onto my site. I'm usually trying to work it the other way around, but I think that would be really cool to have, and I think I'd be able to use something more like that if it was adjustable and I could bring in other platforms.
Yeah, we'll have to put it on WP Roundtable.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing it. I didn't realize this was something that you were, was still in the making. I thought this was something you were going to be sharing with us. I don't know. It was number one on the list, so I just listened.
Well, it'll be out very soon. I thought maybe I'd mention it, but he's already gotten it approved. He just hasn't pushed it out for a public release yet, and I'll nag him about that tomorrow morning.
Nice. Get on him.
Cool. So how did you say info is displayed on the site, Kyle, using that?
It works very naturally. I guess I think he's got a widget and maybe some other tools for just it'll use the Facebook or Twitter API and connect with it and bring in the content and then just display it kind of the way you want to. I think there's like a little utility for kind of like arranging each post and applying some markup to it if you wanted to kind of make it flow better with your styling. It's pretty intuitive as I've checked it out. As soon as it's live and available publicly, it's on GitHub now. But as soon as it's on .org, I'll be sure to put a link to it on this post on the site on WP Roundtable.
Cool. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I use on some client sites. I use it's a part of Jetpack, but it's Facebook Likebox widget. It sounds similar to what you're talking about, but this would be a Facebook exclusive thing, right? Where it just pulls in your posts and has them in the sidebar. And to Jason's point, it might seem counterintuitive at first to some users to, if somebody's already on your site, why am I directing them out, to Facebook or to Twitter? But sometimes it makes sense. Like as I mentioned on the on WP Roundtable before, so my one of my biggest clients is a racing company where they do events all over the country. So it comes in quite handy for them because their visitors, even if they landed on one particular race's site, in the sidebar they can see all the Facebook posts for that company, which includes all their other races around the country that folks might be interested in. So it helps kind of advertise those, even as they're browsing an unrelated races site, stuff like that. So it sounds kind of similar, maybe.
Yeah, and I think it's a totally great question, and worth discussing. We'll have this discussion with clients who, have Facebook, Twitter presence and want to integrate it on their site, and we will be having this discussion about when is it actually appropriate to, showcase your social content or direct people to your social accounts. And there are times when it's not. There are times when really you have a focus and you want your customers to achieve something on the site, and showing social content or links to your social pages is only a distraction and diverts them from your end goal, like making a purchase or registering for something. But there are also a lot of instances where it is very appropriate. I think showing the latest tweets from our WP Roundtable on WPRoundtable.com would be totally applicable because we want people to follow us on Twitter and we want people to subscribe and participate in what we've got going here. Or much like my business, I want people to follow Real Big Marketing on Twitter and engage us there and see that we're like a vibrant company sharing things that are useful. We know what we're talking about. We're engaging the local community. I think it's very useful to be showing that content and getting people to connect with us there. So what do you guys think about that discussion about when to show and not show social content?
Well, really case dependent, probably, like you said.
Sorry, I
Depend
got
on
a
the
little
client.
distracted, but yeah, I think it's almost always applicable to some extent to push people from your site to your social media platform, because that's really where they're gonna most times get a lot more engagement for one, and additionally, that's what they're more likely to share. They're more likely to share that page or something from that page than go through and share something from your actual website. You want to make that as simple as possible as well. But yeah, I mean, if you can get people to follow you among that on that social media, even if you're just sharing your own content or just sharing relevant content, um, that's a great way for them to expose you. You get a little bit more exposure through them, so they might share with their friends, and then if they've got 50 friends, 5 might like your content as well, like what you're doing. So I think that's really a great way to also increase your traffic. I'm not opposed to uh, pushing people from your site to your social media. What I wonder is, a lot of times when I see that, I'll see tweets like mentioning at this person or at this. It'll just be nonsense tweets that are just, and you read that and you're like, what's this conversation even about, and why is it relevant to what's going on here? And so I don't know. I've been kind of opposed to it in the past, but like I said, if I had those more options, maybe with Facebook, maybe with Google, I might be a little bit more inclined to use it, especially if you could get it on a group-specific page. Because let's be honest, even if we're, on WP Roundtable last week, we were tweeting about finding Tupac. We were having a bit of fun with it, but it was a great show. But where does that really come into play when we're talking about what needs to be on the site and what doesn't? Whereas what goes on and what we share maybe on Google Plus is a lot different than something that gets passed back and forth or a conversation being had on Twitter. So that's just my take on it.
Kelly and Brian, you guys have any thoughts on that discussion about when social is important and when people should consider not using it?
I don't think there's ever time not to. I think you should start using it from the day you decide you want to start a new product. And you have something viable. It's not just an idea phase anymore. It's really becoming a product. It's going to be something. That's when you start your social media. You start getting the hype up about that product, and that's going to what makes you successful. Whether that product is you personally or some tool you're developing.
So aside, I think we talked about that. It's a great tool but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But a lot of what we do to actually push social media is we have our social media icons on the site right there. Ones that usually typically somewhere at the top that actually lead you to your to lead the viewer to your actual social media pages, and I think those are critically important, especially if you're in a business. You want those reviewers coming in. You want those people that actually have are happy enough with what you've got going on that they want to contribute, be a part of it, and then obviously sharing your content, whatever great content you put out. If you're going to take the time to put out content, you want people to easily be able to just click a button and have it shared on whatever social media sites they're logged into or whatever ones they prefer to communicate with people on. So we're kind of switching from how we were bringing stuff from social media into our site and back into pushing that content out. But more than us pushing that content out, we want the readers to be able to push content out, because our followers are our followers. We want them to be able to share that stuff in order to find more people, build that bigger group.
Yeah, and that's where some of the nice plugins come into play for, share this, give the users plenty of options to be able to click a single button and share the article they're reading on any network. Share this is a good one. There's some stuff you can do on your own if you don't want to use a plugin. You just want to build it into your site. I say share this because that's one I use everywhere. I don't know of any better ones really out there right now.
There's a few good ones. I've always kind of liked the social sharing toolkit. I always thought that was a pretty decent plugin, pretty easy to customize, and I liked how easily I could make, kind of my social sharing buttons look kind of uniform, and it had all the big ones that I cared about. So pretty easy to use and pretty easy to place in the positions on my site where I might want little sharing buttons or follow buttons or something. But I really haven't used that many. Actually, when I first started using WordPress, started building my first sites in WordPress, I tried a lot of them. But at this point, I don't remember half the ones I've tried because I've been, since then, over the years, using Social Sharing Toolkit a lot or doing it manually, just putting in the code myself for the select features that I wanted. For example, like the links, I never use a plugin for that. I always use icons or something, like a font awesome font icon or Ico Moon icon to make the links to the social channels very uniform with my theme's design, which is not super easy to do with plugins that bring in, like their own images or something like that. It almost looks, disjointed at times, and I want it to look like it really fits with my theme very naturally. So I usually manually create those links. But for like sharing buttons, man, there's a ton of plugins out there that do that. I couldn't even think of my favorite. What about you guys?
As far as bringing people to the pages, the Headway has an option. It's got its own social media block. It allows me to upload any image I want, and it'll automatically take care of it. So if I just pick, let's say YouTube, I can go pick whatever YouTube image I want and add that in. It's got 2 standard sets. I don't know if we're using one or not. Sometimes I like them, sometimes they fit the theme, and then sometimes I go out and find completely different ones and just customize them how I want them and put them in there just as an image. As far as share icons, to share this, I've kind of switched recently over using Floating Social from WPMU, and I don't know why. I've just done it. It works. It was a little bit cleaner than the last one that I tried. I guess it depends on what kind of site I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to do a little bit fun-friendly site, I like it. I can push it off to the side, have it kind of floating around somewhere on the columns there, and just go in. I don't really usually have to do much, but go in and maybe color it up a little CSS or change the opacity. But other than that, I like the way it looks and works. If I'm trying to do something a little bit more professional, I've got a couple other go-tos, but I couldn't even name them off the top of my head.
Gotcha. How about, do we want to dive into some plugins or some tools for notifying folks via these social networks that a new post, page, etc. has has been created or has been pushed out? One that I've used before, it's baked into Jetpack once again, so I know a lot of folks use it. Is just the Publicize module where you can select Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Path, or Google Plus. It has support for those 6, and what it does is anytime there's new posts, it'll just notify folks it'll just push it out automatically on those social networks that's been done. There are lots of other ways to do that. You guys have a favorite?
I know I use Zapier a lot for those type of things. It's one of my favorite tools ever since I found it. I use it for just about everything. And honestly, I used to use it for this type of thing of publishing notifications or posts to Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, stuff like that, just letting people know about it. But I actually turn that off because it drives me insane when I see the same message on all the social networks from the one person or company. It doesn't seem personal to me. My feeling is, once I'm done writing a blog post, I'll spend the extra 5 minutes it takes to go log on to the main social media networks and actually write something different for each one of them that's built for each one. Facebook, you have the nice image with you can have a nice long description of what the post is about. Where Twitter, that's what 140, what is it, 140, 160?
140.
140 characters. You're limited to such a little amount. So really, they should be two completely different posts, or links to the post you just wrote. So my feeling on that is don't do it. Don't use automation tools to tweet about in Facebook a post you just wrote.
Totally on board with Brian. And I feel even more strongly about it because I am that idiot that will accidentally hit publish instead of save post on occasion. And that can come out really bad when my post is only like halfway through something and I only wanted to save it so that I could walk away from it and not have to worry about it. And I come back and something's automatically published and it's over. I know I won't ever do it again. Not the auto post stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Zapier too. I love what they've done, and I love their tool. It's just amazing. If you guys don't use Zapier or tools like it, like IFTTT, which is another one, I think it stands for if this then that, basically the same as Zapier. Those are just super awesome tools that make something that's inherently just so complicated and so difficult to create on your own, just make it like so stupid easy. Namely, like API integrations between multiple services. Zapier just makes that a cakewalk. And so like auto posting things from your site, if you wanted to do that against Brian and Jason's better judgment, of course, Zapier would be a great service for making that a reality. Among many, many other things. It's like one of a million uses for Zapier.
For the people that aren't familiar with Zapier, it is a really cool tool. Basically, they have, they call them Zaps, which are automated workflows from some API to another API. And they have a list of hundreds of APIs that are currently built. But the really cool thing about Zapier over like if this and that is if you're a developer or you know how to code, you can work with any API on the internet and make a plugin for Zapier for that to work. So it's unlimited what you can do with Zapier utilizing APIs that are out in the public.
Yeah, that's true. It's really, really exciting. I mean, we've tried to take that. We have, I shouldn't say tried. We've done some API projects before, and they can be tricky. They can be very complicated and time-consuming, and they're not all standardized and the same. And Zapier is just like this great equalizer, and plus it's like super intuitive. I send people there with like basically zero skill set. Say just make a Zap and quit bugging me to do this programming for you, and they can do it. It's awesome. They can sign up for a meetup group and have the meetups automatically added to their Google Calendar, or make it so that when they get a new LinkedIn connection, it automatically goes into their Gmail contact list. Just integrations like that to just make your life easy. It's awesome.
So what's next? Are we anything else on this auto posting section, or I think we've agreed to disagree on that one?
No, we're totally on the same panel with that.
I think so.
All right. How about we move into like login features? And I didn't even think about this when we were talking about it earlier, but that is a great point you brought up there, Kyle.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Login features, login options.
Right. Yeah. This is a pretty exciting and pretty neat thing. So you've got your WordPress user system, and typically people got to go through that little simple registration process, get the activation email, blah blah blah. But it is possible to configure it in such a way, using some plugins and stuff that users can log into your site, much like they do on many other sites across the web, using their existing social accounts. And this is a pretty exciting opportunity, and I pretty much, I really, really value this on other sites, some news site or whatever site, says, to post a comment or to do whatever or to have this, you just got to log in with your social account. And I'm like, great. I don't have to remember another password. I don't have to create some dorky account that I got to activate, blah, blah, blah. I can just log in with what I've already got. And so all you have to do is authorize it, and then you have an account on this site. So I think that's there's great potential there. Plus, I kind of like carrying my profile with me across the web. Like Gravatar. I think Gravatar is the most awesome thing. I can carry my avatar with me wherever I go across the WordPress world. And so with social login, it's really cool to be able to do something of that nature as well. Carrying, my information. It's the same me. It's the same Kyle on all of these sites. So I think social login is really cool. What do you guys? What's your experience with social login and making it happen?
I really like it. As far as the login aspect, I guess I'm more of a user than somebody who's used it on websites. I have on a couple, and I really thought it made life a lot easier. But as far as just from a user's perspective, I go in there. If I have the option to log into some place like, let's say, TripAdvisor, I don't really want to have to remember my password for TripAdvisor because I go in there when I'm planning on taking a trip every few months and I'm trying to do research or looking something up, or I've just gotten back and I might want to post either a good review or a bad review on something, and I'm not going to remember that. And if I've refreshed, my settings on a browser, I'm using a different browser, I don't want to have to remember that nonsense. So I think it's great. I love the way it allows you to just not have to deal with anything else. And I think it's especially good in comments. I know a lot of sites that I follow use Google Plus, use Google Comments, so I can have my name, and then they can come back, and if I'm having a conversation with somebody that's about a topic on in a post, I can find out who they are. I can go to their Google Plus page, friend them, send them a message, whatever I need to do, and I really feel like that not only brings a better one-on-one connection, but I can see who they are. If somebody tells me, oh, I recommend you do this, this, and this on WordPress, and I go to their profile and it said, I just started my first blog last week, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go take them seriously. But if I see that they're really experienced, they've got a profile set up that says, hey, I do this, I do that, and here maybe here's a couple of examples, then hey, I take this person seriously. Obviously, I'm using WordPress as an example, but probably something I'm a little bit stupider on would be more applicable. Having a conversation about what I do with my dog. If somebody gives me a recommendation and I go to their Google Plus page just to find out that they're a vet, I can now justify that what legitimacy they have in that realm.
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking of too is worth mentioning. That is getting users of sites to participate. I think the likelihood that folks will participate skyrockets for all the reasons that we've just gone through, right? Several of us like the idea of being able to log into certain web services using your Google credentials or your Facebook credentials or Dropbox, another one. But users too. I've read all kinds of studies that the likelihood that folks will comment or sign up for whatever whatever service you're trying to get them to sign up for, etc. That also skyrockets as well if you offer those different ways to log in. Because folks, it's as simple as typing in their Facebook password that they type 1,000 times a day, anyways. And there's no, as you guys said, there's no looking around or for a password. or starting a brand new account, and then having to go check their email to verify the account. All that stuff is kind of you've cut through a lot of the roadblocks, I think, by allowing that folks to sign in that way.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know me with the other side of things usually. I have to go against the whole social sign-on. I'm not a fan of it. I never use it. Well, I shouldn't say I never use it. I rarely use it. If a service has a way for me to sign up or sign on with a email and password, I do that versus a single sign-on with social. And the main reason I do that is I don't want applications. Yeah, I know it asks me if it tells me what things the application or site wants access to,
Right.
but I don't want that site to have access to anything of my social stuff. I also don't want the chance of if somebody figures out my Facebook login, they're going to get access to all these other sites too that they can log into. So, I mean, I'm getting better about it now, but I use different passwords for almost every site. And then I use something like Password Box, which is what I've been using lately, which is essentially like LastPass or OnePass, one of those types of services, where it has all of my passwords for me. So I still don't have the issue of not remembering what a password is. But I'm just not a fan of letting applications or websites know about my social media unless I mean, there's no need for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing for myself, but like I was saying, for clients who may be more likely to participate if you offer that, then, they can do it themselves, I guess, if they want.
Yeah.
If they don't care about have some of the privacy concerns like that.
I've just given up on putting any private information on my social media, and anything I'm afraid that they'll get their hands on, anything else, I'm out at it. It's not going to bother me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a good point, Brian. So, yeah, I still like logging into my profiles a lot. But that privacy stuff, security, that's for smart people. I'm all about do it the easy way. Convenience. I'll sacrifice all my security.
It makes it easy and convenient for hackers to get everything that you own then.
Oh, that's true. Making somebody's life easy.
Yeah.
But less if you combine it with LastPass, OnePassword, KeyPass, one of those apps, right? Then I guess you're right. If they guess the one, then I guess they have a lot. But
Yeah, but the thing with that though is they have to have two things.
Two
They have
factor.
to have my computer and the password.
Right.
Well,
I do like turning on two-factor authentication for sites whenever I can. Or for
I am a big proponent of two-factor.
yeah. So,
Really?
so Brian, I guess I haven't used those services extensively myself. So you're saying it recognizes the device, and you have to have the right password.
Yeah, I believe you set the device on it.
That's smart. That makes sense. So what if, does it lock you out though if you were ever, I don't know, at a friend's house and your phone was dead or something and you couldn't access any of your stuff?
I've never had that issue.
Yeah, I'm sure it's rare these days with smartphones, but
I would guess it does.
because I know OnePassword in particular has a website, right? You can go to their website and hit login and enter your one password, and then access your vault or whatever they call it, and view all your passwords to other services. So I think if you can guess somebody's one password, password to get onto their site and open their Vault or whatever it's called, and view the other ones, then you could get around the device restriction.
Right.
I think. I don't know how else they would do that.
Yeah, and I mean that would bring the two-factor authentication in play.
Right. Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic, is security, which we've touched on before. But
Yeah, I won't be signing up for my bank account through my Facebook. I won't be linking my bank account to Facebook. But
Why not?
They can have my Facebook info.
yeah, I mean, I told you I do it for some sites. I log into my bank with Facebook. Why not?
Sure. Why not?
I'm kidding. Don't try.
It's not like there's anything there. What do you guys think about? Have you ever done anything with like incentivizing social sharing? You doing like some really unique integrations and like pay with a like, or social contests on your site, or things where you tweet this out, or you give us a +1.
That can get kind of challenging. I mean, the pay with a tweet, I've seen a lot of people doing that. I don't see it much anymore, but I've done it before where, I was talking about Password Box. When you signed up for Password Box, if you, during their beta, it was a closed beta, but you could register for an account, and then if you tweeted it out so many times, or, you shared it with so many people, you bumped up in the list of where you got the invite from. So you can cheat the system by signing up multiple email accounts. With Gmail now, you can do the plus sign or dots in your email address, and it's all the same.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went from like 12,856 to next in line just by inviting myself.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's so many ways to cheat the system by doing that. I mean, it works for some people, it doesn't for others. So, really, it's your up to you. Is it really worth the time to set that up and monitor it?
I absolutely back out the minute I see a pay with a like. If I can't read the content, I don't have no idea whether I like it or not, and it might be something I'm totally opposed to by the time I get to by the second or third paragraph, or whatever they usually show. I think they normally show like the first paragraph, and you have to pay for everything with your like to get the access to the rest of the article or whatever. And it's just an immediate, I'm closing this out. I'm done for me. I won't do it unless I know what the content says and I've actually read it fully.
Yeah.
You can always share it on those obscure social networks that you never really use, and nobody you know follows you.
Yeah.
But,
I also have a secondary Facebook account that I use during development, but any kind of those like to continue type things, I sign out of my default Facebook account, sign into my developer one, go like it, and then delete the like.
Yeah. I have a dummy Twitter account. For the same purpose.
And this episode should be now titled "How to Get Around Paying for Stuff."
That's not to get around paying for stuff. Oh.
Paying with your Facebook likes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. One thing I mentioned offline to this group, I think it was just last week, but relevant to this hangout on air. That is, I kind of like the way Troy Dean does it. He's a podcaster who does a WordPress business podcast called WP Elevate. He's an Australian guy and has a lot of interesting guests on who run various businesses centered around the web and WordPress specifically. But he does every episode he'll have a call to action for folks and ask them to do something to win a prize related to his guest. So, for instance, if he has somebody on who has a commercial plugin, let's say, he'll toward the end of the episode, or even I think he does it at the beginning and the end, he'll say, if you tell us what part of the interview you thought was the most useful. If you leave that in the comments, then you'll be automatically registered to win a free, premium version of that guest's plugin that they interviewed that week, right? Or the request could be, if you tweet, a link to whatever we want you to, then you'll be entered in the contest to win the premium plugin or a free ticket to the next training session or whatever the prize may be. So I kind of like that. It doesn't feel, I don't know, sleazy or anything like that. It feels like he's kind of being upfront with, what he wants you to do, what he wants you to promote, kind of thing. But in exchange, I think the users feel like they really are getting something out of it. That being a chance to win the premium plugin or whatever it is. So to me, that's a good method, and it stays a little fresh, because that prize that he gives away each episode is always changing. It's always something different, that he's offering. So that strikes me as a good way to do it.
I've seen that work a lot. If you've got something to give away, give it away. The problem with that, the difficulty there, I shouldn't say the problem, but the difficulty there is enforcing, making sure the standards are done right. So, but yeah, it works great. If you've got a great guest on who's willing to give away, a book. I've seen a lot of people who give away books or ebooks, knives. I've even seen guns given away on social media. And hey, I definitely compete in every one of those ones and share and post and that stuff. I want me a new gun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this one's going to be a little bit short today. We're about 45 minutes, something like that. So, and I think we have beat social media and WordPress into dirt. Any final comments?
I think we're good. Bravo.
And there we have it. Good night, and we'll catch you next time.
Good night. Good night, Moon.